Hello everyone, back to today's second video, sort of a 5-day forecast. You can find videos out here on the homepage. Just scroll down the page a bit and it's underneath link ads. There's also a written version. You get to written version of 5-day forecast from the button at the top of the page. It's going to be a pretty dry period coming up, actually. Lots of high pressure influences. Starting off near normal temperatures now, but we're going to see the temperatures lifting up, really shooting up actually over the weekend and turn very warm down in the south. I'll let you have a look at the 5-day forecast to see more about that. This is extending out beyond the 5-day forecast time frame. Having a look at the weather for next week to 10 days. This takes us to the end of next week, heading into the Easter period. So we'll see whether we've got any unsettled weather coming up. We have more on the very warm March that's just gone. That's where I've got time. Have a look at Beijing Climate Centre for the next 40 days. But just starting off with the competition, because on Sunday we're going to be teaming up with metcheck.co.uk weather instrumentation. We're going to be giving away a prize. And I'm on MetCheck's website at the moment. If you want to go to metcheck.co.uk weather instrumentation and buy your weather products, you can certainly do that via the Gaz Weathers links page. But tomorrow we'll be revealing what the prize is that we are giving away. So at the start of tomorrow's video, you're going to find out what the prize is going to be that we're giving away. We're going to start the competition on Sunday and we'll be running it through whole of next week with the winner announced on a week on Sunday, actually, on Easter Sunday, 16th of April. So come back to everyone know what that prize is going to be that we are going to be giving away this year with metcheck.co.uk weather instrumentation. Right, centering temperature then. So, well, I said yesterday, but we got the provisional number in for March, which was standing at 8.6. It's been confirmed now, and it's been rounded up to 8.7, which is an anomaly of 3 degrees above the 61 to 1990 average. A very, very warm March indeed. That is the warmest March in the Central England region since 1957. I think it's about the third or the fourth warmest March on record back to 1659. April also looking very warm at 10.0 so far. That's 3.7 degrees above average. That's provisional to yesterday, the 4th of April. We've also got the UK-wide stats in now as well. So I'm just going to zoom out a bit for you, and there we go. So this is the March 2017 mean temperature anomaly set against 61 to 1990. You see it was a widely above average month across the whole of the country. Scotland and Northern Ireland closest to average, but there we come out around half a degree to 1.5 degrees above average. England and Wales had a very warm month with temperature anomalies of around 2 to 3 degrees above average, the highest temperature anomaly down in the southeast. Now, if we set that against a more modern average, let's say 81 to 2010, excuse me, and that takes into account the warming that occurred through the 1980s, 1990s, and into the early 2000s. So it's perhaps a more relevant temperature average compared to that old and cold temperature average of 61 to 1990, which encompasses the very cold decade of the 1960s. So setting against a more relevant temperature average, 81 to 2010, still significantly warmer than average, but the deviations aren't as great. So Scotland, much of Scotland and Northern Ireland coming out around half a degree above average. Northern England, Wales and Midland, South West England around 1.5 degrees above average. I mean, down in the southeast, we're still around 2 to over 2 degrees above average. So whichever temperature anomaly you take, it does come out as a very significantly warmer than average March indeed. Precipitation for March also looking like this in terms of the UK-wide series. And we find many parts have actually had average precipitation. Now, down in the southeast, we are coming out a bit drier than average, as we are, interestingly, for central eastern parts of Scotland. But the bulk of the country comes out with average precipitation in those white areas. And in the northwest, so through parts of Wales, northwest England, come out a little bit wetter than average there. So quite a lot of regional variation. But overall, I don't think we've deviated too far in terms of precipitation. Really, on the temperature side of things, that things have been quite unusual for March 2017. As I say, through the Central England region, we have had our warmest March for 60 years, back to 1957, around the third or the fourth warmest March on record. Keep in mind that the weather stations that we use for the CET region have changed quite significantly. There's a little bit of controversy about that. I know some of you find it a little bit controversial in terms of where those weather sites are situated now, in terms of heat, island effect, that kind of thing. But nevertheless, it's still the best sort of temperature series we've got in terms of its longevity. So still quite an important temperature series to look at. Anyway, that's all the stats for March. Going forward into April, this is the GFS temperature and precipitation ensemble chart for the next 2 weeks. As I say, it's based on the GFS model. The red line here is the 30-year temperature average in terms of the upper air temperatures. So you see the temperatures are going to be lifting up into the weekend, turning very warm over the weekend, and then inside of next week those temperatures are dropping. A few days ago it looked like we might turn it quite cold next week. There's no sign of that now, no suggestion of that, but nevertheless we do see a bit of a drop in the temperature back towards the 30-year temperature average, and not a huge deviation then as we go through up to the middle part of April, which is this period just here. Precipitation, lots and lots of dry weather coming up for the rest of this week and into weekend. Next week we do get some rainfall spikes, but I'm not sure this is looking as unsettled as it did a couple of days ago. So not only are we rowing back on the idea of turning things colder into the middle part of April, we may well be rowing back on this unsettled spell as well. And it has been a trend that we've seen a lot over recent months, really since late last summer is when we shifted into a much drier regime through August and September last year. It's gone on several months now. We may be seeing signs again that another spell of unsettled weather is going to fail. Although there are some precipitation spikes there, so I think we will turn it a bit more unsettled around the middle part of the month, but possibly not as unsettled as it looked like we could do a couple of days ago. If this carries on into the summer, we've got to, particularly for the southeast, I think we've got to start thinking a little bit about maybe not drought conditions, but certainly very dry conditions down in the southeast, and we're just going to wait and see how much longer it's going to go on for. It's been running for several months now, this dry period, and again, as I say, we might be seeing signs that another unsettled spell is being downgraded. This is the so this should be the temperature anomaly for the next week, but I have the wrong chart, so I'll just quickly change that over. So that's going to go through to the temperature anomaly. So this is the temperature anomaly for the next week, and it's showing that we're going to be a little bit milder than average from the 5th through to the 13th of April. Most parts of Europe are coming out milder average as well. Here's the precipitation anomaly, which you've already seen. Going to be a very significantly drier than average week coming up from the 5th through to the 13th of April. In the United States, a bit of a three-way split actually for temperature anomaly over next week. So western parts of the states look a bit cold and average. In the Midwest, so it looks quite warm. And then down in the south and southeast, it's actually looking quite chilly with the temperature anomalies coming out cooler than average down there. Precipitation shows that on the Pacific side, again, it's looking quite wet, more rain, particularly for northern parts of California. Some very wet weather coming up there, and it extends up the Pacific coast. Where we have that warmer area through the Midwest, it looks pretty dry there. And then over towards the east, where it's a bit colder, also coming out a little bit drier down there as well. Coming back closer home then, this is for GFS for Sunday, bringing up this southerly wind, and it's going to be pretty warm on Sunday with temperatures easily going to around 21 degrees, I think, 70 Fahrenheit. We might go higher than that in central London. Through into Monday, it's going to turn a bit cooler. This all covered in the 5-day forecast, by the way. But on Monday, we bring a cold front across the country, which probably produces no more than a few showers, but it will introduce cooler air from the north and the west through the early part of next week. Then the middle of the week has this area of high pressure very, very close to the country. It's a bit colder up across Scotland and north-eastern England, but a lot of dry weather is still coming through with, I think, maybe some showers. And then we go through to Thursday, 13th of April, and well, it's all looking rather odd, but I think essentially we're still within an area of high pressure. We might just have a bit of a trough there producing some showers. I think overall high pressure is still close by. As we go through into the Easter weekend, this is Good Friday and this is Easter Saturday. Look at that, high pressure still going on down across the south and the southeast. In the northwest, it's a little bit more unsettled. So, if you've been watching the Easter updates, we've done 2 of them so far. They've generally been quite unsettled. But if we was doing an Easter update now, we aren't, but if we was doing an Easter update now, would be a more settled update, to say the least, with high pressure remaining close to the south-southeast. That's just what I was talking about at the start, that we might be seeing signs of a downgrade to the unsettled weather that we're expecting over the Easter weekend in particular, which of course is good news really, because there's going to be lots of people doing lots of things over Easter, so you want weather to be nice. Here's the ECMWF again, high pressure dominating on sunny, bringing up a warm southerly wind, particularly to England and Wales. It turns cooler in the early part of next week. High pressure sticks very close to the country, but it's a little bit further away compared to the GFS, so we are pulling down this quite chilly northwesterly wind, and that could well be bringing some showers to northeastern parts of the country too. After that, though, we head up towards Easter, and high pressure is beginning to reassert itself once again. So we finish up on day 10, which is Saturday the 15th of April, in the middle of the Easter weekend. And, well, we're building high pressure through the country yet again. So we may well be shifting away from that idea of an unsettled Easter, going back more towards high pressure yet again, as we have done, as I say, so often since around the end of last summer. Let's just see what the Beijing Climate Centre has in store for the next 40 days. So these are 500 millibar heights broken down into 10-day periods. First 10-day period taking us from the 6th through to the 15th of April. We find we've got above average heights centering over the UK, troughing the Atlantic, just going like that. So a lot of dry and fine weather coming up for the next 10 days. You go through to the second 10-day period, which is the 16th through 25th of April, and low pressure is a little bit more influential, so the ridge is shifting further southwards, a jet stream coming a bit further south as well, so it's a little bit more unsettled. You wouldn't say it's a washout by any means, it is a little bit more unsettled there through that 10-day period, probably a bit cooler as well. But then the next 10-day period, look at this, is going from the 26th of April through to the 5th of May, and the above average heights are returning. They're building out to the west this time, so jet stream going something like that. Could be quite cool, but there would be a lot of dry and settled weather going on with the Atlantic rather blocked off. And then the final 10-day period, we finish up pretty much where we start. The 6th through to the 15th of May shows that above average heights, high pressure is back in slap bang over the top of the country. And of course, by middle of May, you get high pressure sitting over the country. Really going to start to turn potentially very warm indeed. So we're going to have an early summer, actually, with some pretty warm conditions coming up in May if Beijing Climate Centre is correct. Keep in mind, these long-range models are highly experimental. They are prone to chopping and changing. But, well, it's been the trend, as I say, over the past few months. We have had this trend of consistently seeing heights building in across the country. So, who's to say this won't go on into May and give us an early summer. Coming back to the next week to 10 days, so we're going to have a warm weekend, going to turn a bit cooler through the early part of next week, and then heading up to Easter and over the Easter weekend, we appear to be losing the idea of an extended spell of unsettled weather. Might turn a bit more unsettled next week, but overall at this stage it doesn't look as though high pressure is going to be all that far away for Easter. Right, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.